Hello, our project is Virtual Pet Game, and our team consists of Tan, Antero, Caleb, and Diane. As for responsibilities, I, Antero, am the leader slash programmer. I was also a designer and QA tester. Tan was a programmer and a designer and tester. Diane was an architect and programmer and tester, and Caleb was a programmer. Our project is an engaging virtual pet game where players immerse themselves in caring for a digital pet. In this interactive experience, players feed, play with, and monitor their pet's happiness, hunger, and energy levels, ensuring its well being and responding to its changing moods. It's a fun and captivating way to experience the joys of pet ownership digitally. In today's world, many of us are seeking entertainment options that are both simple and accessible, yet engaging enough to fit into our increasingly busy lifestyles. That's exactly the need our project aims to address. We've identified a unique opportunity, creating a virtual pet game for those who love the idea of pet ownership but perhaps lack the time, space, or resources for a real pet. This isn't just about filling a gap in the digital entertainment market, it's about offering a meaningful, interactive experience. Our game allows users to care for, manage, and interact with a digital pet, providing all the joys of pet ownership without the real life demands. It's designed to be an exciting and easily accessible platform, not just for pet lovers, but for anyone looking for a delightful escape into the world of virtual companionship. Our project is centered around three key goals to enhance the user experience in virtual pet care. First, we aim to create an easy-to-use, web-based game that opens up a world where players can not only care for, but also deeply interact with their virtual pets. This platform is designed to be intuitive and user-friendly, ensuring that players of all ages can easily navigate and enjoy the game. Our second goal is to incorporate fundamental features that are essential to pet care. This includes giving players the ability to feed, play with, and look after their virtual pet's well-being. Every interaction is designed to be more than just a click. It's an immersive experience that fosters a genuine bond between the player and their virtual companion. Lastly, we're focused on developing a dynamic system where the pet's mood actively changes based on player interactions. This key feature significantly enhances the game's realism and engagement factor. It's not just about what players do, but also about how their actions influence the pet's behavior and emotions, making each gaming experience unique and personal.
Welcome to our virtual pet game. When you first visit our game, you will land on our homepage where you're greeted with a welcome message. You can either choose to log in if you're a returning player or register to create your own unique account. Below that, you'll see a leaderboard highlighting the top players. For this demonstration, I'll pretend to be a new player. I'll start by registering for an account, so let's go ahead and do that. So once I'm done registering, it'll thank me for making an account and ask me to log in to play. So before I go ahead and log in, let's try to register again with the same username and see what happens. And as you can see, it'll prompt like an error message and ask me to choose a different name, or username I mean. So let's go ahead and log in. And let's say I mistyped my username when I first try to log in. Let's see what happens. It'll tell me my login failed and I need to check my username or password. So let's go ahead and try to log in again and make sure my username is correct this time. And it looks like it brings me to the game itself. So I can start the game by interacting with the virtual pet, which in our game is a dog. You can click on the dog to play with it, or click on the bow to feed it. At the top of the screen is a bar that displays the values for happiness, hunger, energy, and score. And below that bar is the pet mood. Behind the scenes of the game, it monitors several factors. For example, if the energy falls is 50% or below, the pet becomes tired. When hunger reaches 60% or higher, the pet becomes hungry. If happiness is 50% or above, uh, the pet's happy. If it's 50% or below, the pet becomes unhappy. Um, and there's also, with every click on the dog or bow, there's a 1 in 7 chance the dog will poop, and if it does poop, the happiness level is cut by half from what it was earlier. So let's do a quick example. I'll go ahead and click on the dog to play with it, and energy decreases by 5%, and hunger goes up by 5%, and happiness also goes up, and score increases. And as you can see, the pet mood becomes tired since the energy drops below 50%. Let's go ahead and drop energy to 0% and see what happens. As you can see, the hungry pet becomes hungry now because the hunger percentage is above 60 now. And once you hit 0% on an energy, it'll pop up as just saying that I can no longer play with it since the energy is at 0%. And if I click on the dog, nothing will happen to the values. So I'll go ahead and click on the food bowl to feed it. And as you can see, the energy starts going up and hunger starts going down. And it looks like as you can see, one of the events happened where the pet pooped and happiness was at 100, but now it was cut by half, so now it's 50%. And as you can see, once hunger reaches 0%, you can no longer feed it. And once I try to click on it, nothing really happens, so I have to go ahead and click on play to change the values. And that's pretty much all there is to the game. If the user's done playing, you can go ahead and log out. Once you log out, the leaderboard would update with the username and score and rank the user based on the score. And if the user wants to go ahead and play again, they can log back in with the same username and password. And as you can see, the happiness, hunger, energy, and score values are saved from what they were before they logged out. And yeah, that's pretty much concludes our live demo of our game. I hope you enjoy playing our game as much as I did. Thank you. So for our registration page, we have a function called check user exist, and in this function, it reads the contents of the users.txt file into the array, and each element of the array represents a line in the file. We have a loop that iterates through each line and splits each line into an array, with the first element being the username and second element being the password. If it detects that the uh, inputted username to the function matches with an existing username from the text file, it will return a true statement. If it doesn't detect the username in the text file, it will return a false statement. And after our function, we have a if statement that checks for a post request from the server, and it collects the username and password that was provided from the user on the registration page, and it checks it against the check user exists function. If the function returns true, that means the username is already exists in the text file, and it will prompt the user to choose a different name. If the function returns a false statement, then that means they're a new user. So the if statement will go ahead and store the username and password as a new line into the text file, and then prompt them thanks for registering and ask them to log in. For our login screen, we have a if statement that checks for the post request from the server. Once it detects this request, it will store the provided username and password from the user into some variables. And then we have a if statement that runs the function called validate users against the provided username and provided password. And in this function, it will go through each line in the users.txt file and see if any of them match with the provided username and provided password from the user. If they match up, that means the user entered the username and password correctly, and they can be proceeded to the game file. If the function detects that the username and password are wrong, then the page will prompt them telling that the login failed and that they need to check the username and password. Also, if the function returns true, we run another function called getUserData that will be explained further in the slides. But basically, this function checks if that the user has played previously before, and if so, once they are logged in and redirected to the game file, the happiness, hunger, energy, and score values will be the values they had previously before they logged out, meaning that it acts like a save checkpoint. So for our leaderboard, the way it works is it checks if there's a file called user underscore data.txt. In this file, it just basically scores all the data for each user, including the username, happiness, hunger, energy, and score values of the user. And if the statement sees that the files exist, we have a loop that goes through each lines and stores the username and score values only into an array. And then we use a usort to sort the array based on the score values in descending order. And then to display the actual table data, we have another loop that creates the table data, including the rank, username, and score. So for our game logic, we first have a function called limit to range. Basically, we use this function to limit the values of happiness, hunger, and energy between 0 and 100 so they don't go over and under those values. Next, we'll have a if statement that checks for the post server request. Inside this statement, we have a couple more if and if else if statements. The first one checks to see if the feed button is clicked on, and if so, see if the energy is less than 100 and the hunger is above 0. If so, proceed with changing the values of happiness, hunger, energy, and score. The next value is, or the next else if statement is uh, checking to see if the play button is clicked on. If so, see if energy is above 0 and hunger is less than 100. If so, change the values of happiness, hunger, energy, and score. And the next else if statement checks to see if the logout button is clicked on. If so, run a function called update user file, which will basically store the user's name, happiness, hunger, and energy, and also the score values, so that we can have a checkpoint for them, basically, so that next time they log in, it loads their saved data. And after that, it also destroys the cookies and sessions, and it redirects them to the logout.php. The next if statement checks to see if the play button is clicked and if the energy is equal to 0. If so, pop up a message saying that the energy is at 0 and you can no longer play with the pet. And the next else if statement checks to see if the feed button is clicked on and if hunger is equal to 0. If so, that means the pet is full and you can no longer feed them. And the last if statement is uh, a ran 1 through 7 or 1 7 that is basically a 1 in 7 chance for the pet to poop whenever you click on one of the buttons. And if the event happens, decrease the happiness by 50% of what the value was previously, and then pop up a message saying the pet pooped and that the happiness was cut by half.
Dynamic mood imaging for our virtual pet. First, I focus on determining the pet's mood, which was accomplished through a series of conditional checks. Based on the pet's various attributes stored in the session, like happiness, hunger, and energy levels, I assign the specific mood to the pet. For example, if the pet's happiness level was above 80, the mood was set to happy. Conversely, if happiness was set below 20, the mood was sad. Similarly, high hunger levels indicated a hungry mood, and low energy levels suggested the pet was tired. In cases where none of these conditions were met, the pet's mood defaulted to normal. Next, I use this mood determination to dynamically change the pet's image in the game. Using a PHP switch statement, I linked each mood to the corresponding image. So, if the pet's mood was happy, the game would display an image of a happy pet. This was done by echoing an HTML image tag with the source pointing to an appropriate image file, like happy.png, for a happy pet. This pattern was repeated for other moods such as sad, hungry, tired, and the default state. The result is a more interactive and responsive virtual pet that changes its appearance based on its mood, enhancing the overall user experience and engagement with the game. This feature not only makes the game more visually appealing, but also adds a layer of emotional depth to the virtual pet, making it feel more alive and responsive to the player's actions. Here are the images that I used for the moods. These were sourced from freepik.com, which provided free licensing. Saving user data. We start with two main PHP functions, update user file and get user data. These functions are crucial for saving and retrieving player data such as happiness, hunger, and energy levels, as well as a score. The update user file function is designed to update or add a user's data in a file named user_data.txt. First, it checks if the file exists and if the user's data is already there. If the user exists, their data is updated. If not, the function adds a new line with the user's data. On the other hand, the getUserData function retrieves a user's saved data. When a user logs in, this function checks user_data.txt to find their data. It returns the user's happiness, hunger, energy levels, along with their score if they are found. In our login process, implemented in login.php, we use getUserData to set the initial session values. If a user's data is found, we load it into the session. Otherwise, we assign default values, happiness and energy at 50, along with hunger at 50 as well. Lastly, in game.php, we use update user file to save the updated data when the game session ends. This ensures that each player's game progress and pet state are preserved for their next session. This system of data handling allows us to create a personalized and continuous experience for each player, keeping track of their virtual pet state across different gaming sessions.
The combination of the Scrum Kanban methodologies had so many benefits for our project. One of them is resource optimization, which identifies constraints, balances workloads, and enhances resource utilization for maximum productivity. Predictability and planning facilitates backlog refinement and flow management for clear timelines, aiding better planning and understanding of competition. Empower teams encourages self-organization and collective decision-making, fostering ownership, accountability, and increased motivation among team members. Reduce lead time, breaks down work into manageable units, optimizes workflows, and contributes to shorter lead times for faster delivery. Enhanced product quality, emphasis on iterative development, continuous feedback, and inspections results in better product quality through early issue identification and incremental improvements. Better stakeholder engagement encourages frequent communication and collaboration with the team and with stakeholders through demos, reviews, and updates, leading to a clear understanding of the project progress and requirements. This is our Kanban workflow for pet game development. In the backlog column, we see the tasks waiting to be prioritized and worked on. Mention tasks like designing login, registration pages, adding feeding features, and creating extra pet functionalities. On to-do column, we see the tasks actively being addressed. Tasks like creating pet sprites, designing front end, and implementing back end functionalities. In the development column, we see the tasks in the developmental phase, highlight implementing game dynamics and adding interactions. The testing column, the tasks are undergoing testing for functionality and behavior. Emphasize testing pet behavior and interactions with the environment. Deployment column, tasks for deploying the game. Mention deploying the game and ensuring user login functionality. Done column. Those are the successfully complete tasks. Highlight achievements such as the pet being able to eat, play, interact with the environment, and user login being functional. So these are the Kanban stages and the progress made, emphasizing the game's key functionalities and successful deployment.
As we conclude, I'd like to highlight some key takeaways from our project. We've effectively utilized Scrum and Kanban methodologies, not just as project management tools, but as a means to really drive our team's efficiency and creativity. This approach has been crucial in developing our interactive virtual pet game, a platform where users can engage deeply with their digital pets, feeding them, playing with them, and monitoring their well being. Speaking of achievements, our team has made significant strides. We've empowered our team members to take ownership of their work, fostering a motivated and productive environment. This has directly contributed to reducing our lead times, ensuring that we deliver features more efficiently. Moreover, our iterative development approach has significantly enhanced the quality of our product, making the virtual pet experience more realistic and engaging. A key feature that stands out is our dynamic mood system. It's fascinating to see how the virtual pets react to player interactions, adding a layer of depth and realism to the game. As for our future plans, we're excited to explore new horizons. We're looking at enhancing the game features, introducing even more interactive elements for the pets. We also plan to focus on user experience improvements, making the game more intuitive and user friendly. Security is also a key priority for us, especially in our login and registration processes. And, of course, we're always thinking ahead. We're considering the possibility of introducing multiplayer capabilities to bring a social dimension to the game. In summary, our project has been a journey of learning, innovation, and growth. We've taken significant steps, but there's still an exciting path ahead. Thank you for your attention and support throughout this project.